Hi, boys and girls. Today is Wednesday, June 3rd, 2020. I am going to go over quickly your practice and homework pages that I asked you to do for homework. That would have been page 713, and on the back would be 714. Again, we are doing identifying polygons. So let's go over what you did for homework. So for number 1 and 2, you were supposed to tell if the shape is a polygon and write yes or no. Is number 2 a polygon? Yes, it is. How do we know that? It's a closed figure. It's a plane shape. It has sides or line segments. All right. Now going down to number 3 and 4, it says write the number of sides and the number of angles, then name the polygon. So if I look at this first picture or figure on number 3, how many sides does it have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So remember, polygons have the same number of sides and angles. So we're also going to write 6 again, and it's a 6-sided figure, so we know that's a hexagon. All right, then number 4, here is another shape. How many sides are there? 1, 2, 3, 4. There's 4 line segments or 4 sides. So it has the same number of angles. What is this called? A quadrilateral. Okay, then moving on to number 5, problem solving in the real world. I did number 5, I did number 6, and I did number 7 with you before I assigned this homework. So now I'm going to the back, which would be page 714. Okay, right here in the corner, in the lower left-hand corner. Number 1 on this back, I did with you. Now let's look at number 2. It says, how many sides does this polygon have? Well, I can count them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So your answer should be 6. Number 3 is a review. It says, how many right angles does this shape have? Well, there's 4 corners in each part of that shape, which is a square. So the answer is 4. There's 4 right angles in that shape. All right, number 4 I did with you. Number 5, what is straight? It's part of a line and has 2 endpoints. So we know it's straight. Keywords, part of a line. Keywords, 2 endpoints. So straight, 2 endpoints, and it's only part of a line. That is called a line segment. It doesn't go on in both directions forever because it has 2 endpoints. So it's a line segment. All right. Number 6, it says, what describes this angle? Is it a right angle, less than a right angle, or greater than a right angle? Now remember, we've already learned the geometry terms. So we're either going to write a right angle, acute angle, which is less than a right angle, or obtuse, which is greater than a right angle. So which one is it? It's not a right angle because I cannot make a perfect square in the corner. It is not an obtuse angle because it's not larger than a right angle. It's a little bit closed in. It's an acute angle. All right, so those are your answers for your homework. Now, I am moving on to lesson 12.4. So now, just flip your packet over. You should be on page 715. This is lesson 12.4. We're moving along. Here is the essential question. At the top, it says, describe polygons. The essential question says, how can you describe line segments that are sides of polygons? So that basically is the learning target for today, boys and girls, and we are going to write that as a learning target. So let's change this a little bit, and instead of saying how, we're going to write I can describe line segments that are sides of polygons. Now, I've talked about different line segments probably over a week ago. I talked about different types of lines. I've also shown them to you in a book that I read to you. We are going to be talking about parallel lines, lines that never touch, intersecting lines, lines that cross. So those are the type of lines we're going to talk about in this lesson. So again, I can describe line segments that are sides of polygons. So when we're describing something, we're telling what type of line segment they are. Like I just said, intersecting, they could be parallel. Okay, so we're going to talk about those. Perpendicular. So those are the type of line segments we will discuss today. So let's take a look. And it says, unlock the problem. Look at the polygon. How many pairs means two, of sides are parallel? So what lines are parallel to each other? It's this one, and this one, this one, and this one. So you got how many pairs that are parallel? Well, you've got two pairs. That would be a total of four. These two are parallel to each other, and these two are parallel to each other. So in the box, it says, how do you know the shape is a polygon? Well, it is closed, period. It is made of line segments. Okay, my friends, I'll leave it there for a minute so you can copy. We know that that picture over to the right is closed and it's made up of line segments, and they meet at their endpoints, so we know it's a polygon. But again, there's two pairs of parallel lines in that figure. All right. Now let's go down to the types of lines. It says lines that cross or meet are intersecting lines. Intersecting lines form angles. Again, I did talk to you about that on a poster that I showed you a while ago on YouTube called Lines Vocabulary. So intersecting lines are lines that form angles and they meet or cross. So for example, if you just look at the top of this, that is an obtuse angle. If you look at it from the bottom, this is an obtuse angle. If you look at it from the side, that's an acute angle. If you look at it from this side, that's an acute angle. Do you see that? Okay, so now look at what it says across. It says the orange and blue line segments meet and form an angle. Obviously, you can't see orange and blue, so I'm just going to put O for orange and B for blue right here. Let me just zoom in so you can see. They're saying to you that, oh, I can't, okay. It says the orange and blue line segments meet. Here's where they meet, and they form an angle. And you can see what that angle is. It says the orange and blue line segments meet and form an angle, so they are intersecting. Because what they're telling you is intersecting lines form angles. It formed an angle. They met. So please write intersecting here. All right, moving on. All right, you got that? You can copy it from right over here on this side. Then it says intersecting lines that cross or meet to form right angles are called perpendicular. So these lines cross and meet too. The only difference is you can make a right angle, a perfect square in the corner. So now they're called perpendicular. So here's an example of that over here. It says the red and the blue. So let's just pretend this is the red line because this paper is printed in black and white. And this is the blue line, right? I'll zoom in a little bit. The red and the blue line segments meet to form a right angle. So here's the red, here's the blue. They meet right here and they form a right angle. So this is considered perpendicular. Again, you can copy that word over on the left-hand side. You don't have to copy from me. All right, so those lines are perpendicular. All right, at the bottom, it says lines that never cross or meet and are always the same distance apart are parallel lines. All right, they do not form angles, which is pretty obvious. I don't see an acute angle. I don't see a right angle. I don't see an obtuse angle. They never cross, they never meet, and they do not form angles. So the polygon above has, ooh, and I said that wrong, has one pair of parallel lines. And let me go back because I made a mistake. Teachers make mistakes too. When you look at this, I'm sorry, these two are not parallel to each other because eventually they're going to cross. Like if I keep going on forever, and because this one's on a slant and I keep going on forever, they're going to eventually meet. These two that I made squiggly, just to show you which ones I'm talking about, they're never going to meet. So it's one pair of parallel lines. I'm sorry if I said two, that was a mistake. There's only one pair, which is two, that are parallel. They're never going to cross. They're never going to meet. Okay. Sorry about that. Then it says the green and the blue line segments. Again, you don't know which one is which. Let's say that's green and this is blue. It says the green and the blue line segments would never cross or meet. They are always the same distance apart, so we know they are parallel. Those two lines are never going to meet each other, so they're parallel. Now, at the bottom, it says, look at the mathematical reasoning or the mathematical practice. It says, why can't parallel lines never cross? Well, the lines can't ever cross because they're the same distance apart from each other. So they're never going to be able to cross or touch because they're too far apart. All right? They have a distance between them, which is never going to allow them to cross or meet. Okay? I'll do this page and then I'll stop for today. It says, try this. It's asking you to draw a polygon with one pair of parallel sides. Then draw a polygon with two pairs of parallel sides. Outline each pair of parallel sides with a different color. Now, again, if you guys don't have crayons at home, that's okay. I'm not even going to grab my crayons right now because I want to just keep going with the video. I'll just label them with a color that I would have used. So I'm going to do one first and then I'll do the other one. Okay, so there's a lot of directions there. I don't want you to be confused. So let me just make sure we understand what we're doing. Okay, so the first one says draw a polygon with one pair of parallel lines. So watch. And I'm going to make dotted lines. Okay. There's my dotted line for the first. And then 1, 2, 3, 4. And then I'm going to make another dotted line. These, my friends, are the two parallel lines that are never going to meet. So these are the pairs. This is the pair that's never going to cross. Now, I'm just going to close it up because it has to be a polygon, right? So I'm going to close that baby up. And those solid lines I made just helps me to close up the polygon. But the dotted lines represent the pair of parallel lines that will never meet because they're parallel to each other. Now, the rest of it says to draw a polygon with two pairs of parallel sides and outline each pair of parallel sides with a different color. So I won't do that. I'm showing you with dotted lines so you know which pair I'm talking about. Now the second shape I'm going to make, all the lines are parallel to each other. So please watch and then you can try to copy. All right, there's one. And it's not going to be perfect, but let's not make that last one. We'll stop there. No. Oh yeah, I could do that. It's not perfect, my friends. These two are parallel to each other. They're never going to cross. They're never going to meet. And then these solid lines that I'm about to make, whoops, they're never going to cross and they're never going to meet. So do you see how I made two pair of parallel lines? Just make sure that looks good. All right, so the two dotted lines are parallel. The two solid lines are parallel. The solid lines will never touch or cross. The dotted lines will never touch and cross. So let me just zoom in to make sure you can see what Miss Harling did. And then you can try to draw it too, okay? So these two solid lines are parallel. These two dotted lines are parallel, which means those two pairs of lines will never cross and never meet. These two will never cross and meet, and these two will never cross and meet. Make sense? And then again, you have it here. On this one, I was only supposed to make one pair of parallel lines that'll never meet. It's these two, the ones that I made into dotted lines. Okay, pause the video if you need to, but I'm going to keep going. Share and show. It says which sides appear to be parallel. Well, here's your picture. You've got a rectangle there. A, B, C, and D. Well, obviously, A and C are parallel. B and D are also parallel. Make sense? Okay. Now, let's go to the middle of the page. It says, look at the green sides of the polygons. Tell if they appear to be intersecting, perpendicular, or parallel. Write all the words that describe the sides. So now let me just show you which ones are green because you have a black and white packet. These are the green. For number 3, these are the green. You can kind of tell they're a little bit darker. For number 4, these are the green. So now let's go back and see. Starting with number 2. What kind of lines are those? They're never going to touch. They're never going to cross. They're parallel. These two will never touch and never cross. All right, I'll zoom out a little bit. Look at number 3. These two meet, don't they? So they're touching, and they're definitely going to cross because if I kept going and I kept going, they're definitely going to cross each other, aren't they? So those are intersecting. So please write intersecting. And again, the words are right up here. Intersecting, perpendicular, parallel. So you just have to copy. Number 4, we're talking about this line and this line. So if this line kept going and this vertical line kept going, they definitely cross and they make a perfect square in the corner. So what is that? Perpendicular and intersecting. They're intersecting because they're crossing. They're perpendicular because they're crossing and they make a perfect square in the corner. So they're both. And remember, these terms are back on page 716 on the back of this paper. Okay, so they're both. They're intersecting and perpendicular. Now, Math Talk says, how are intersecting and perpendicular lines alike and how are they different? I kind of just told you. They're alike because both types of lines have to cross. They're different because perpendicular make a perfect square in the corner. Here you have intersecting, but you can't put a perfect square there. All right, last part, because I'm at my 20 minutes and I don't like to go past 20 minutes, but I got to finish this. So now I'm going to do number 5, 6, and 7. It says on your own. It says, look at the green sides of the polygon. Tell if they appear to be intersecting, perpendicular, or parallel. Again, these are the words you're going to be writing on the line. And again, because you have a packet that's black and white, you don't know which ones are green necessarily. So these two lines are green. On number 6, these two lines are green. Because if we were working in our actual Go Math workbook, those are colored pages, and you would know which ones are green. And let's just move this over. For number 7, these two are green. All right, so let's look at the green. And again, we're telling if they're intersecting, perpendicular, or parallel. Well, what do you think about these two lines that are green? Parallel. They go in the same direction, but they're never going to touch. They're never going to cross. And they're the same distance apart from each other. What about number 6? Well, I can make a perfect square in the corner, and those two lines definitely intersect and touch. I kind of just told you. They're intersecting, but they're also perpendicular because of the perfect square that you can put in the corner. So again, perpendicular and intersecting always cross and meet, but perpendicular make perfect squares in the corner. And last but not least, number 7, that's a pentagon. And those two green lines intersect, but you can't make a perfect square in the corner. You basically see an obtuse angle there. So our only answer here is intersecting. Okay, I've gone to 23 minutes. I am done. I did the first 2 pages of our new lesson, which is 12.4. So I am done for today. I also went over your homework. Hopefully you are watching these videos still. School is not over, boys and girls. So again, I'm going to keep working until our last day. Hope you understood. Again, you can go back and look at the names of those lines again. You can also go back and look at my poster that I put up maybe a week or so ago about different lines. It said lines vocabulary, I believe. That was the name of my poster. And it goes over these different types of lines. All right, I will see you probably later. I think I'm going to put up a book that I like, that I want to share with you. I've shared many books with you on math, so this one I'd like to share as well. See you later. Take care. Bye.